Okay, so I got another BVP here, so barriers for the vulnerable population, and this one's actually an extension of one that I already talked about. This is earlier when I was walking through town, and I was talking about, you know, um, how people like businesses that are already established, they usually look for folks that are already established or that come from reputable businesses to, do like if you want to perform some work for some folks just to get some experience, um, you can get overlooked rather easily. And I'm just sitting here. I was just making a tea before I go to do some work and to get some focused work in this moment. And I was thinking, oh goodness, I don't think I accurately described that. And so there's a really good learning lesson from this. Is I find it's difficult, even when I'm going through these things, to accurately describe what I'm going through, because it can be murky. It can be like looking into, a pond that's translucent. So the difference between like oh goodness, a transparent pond and a translucent pond is a transparent pond. You can actually look in and you can see, like, say, if there's shells at the bottom, you can see everything at the bottom. If you step in, you can even see your foot at the bottom of the water. A pond that's translucent, you're able to see like only so far beneath the water, and then it starts to get murky, and then all of a sudden like your level of visibility is hindered. So there's a depth that you can see. So it's differentiated from a murky pond where there's no depth. As soon as anything is submerged by that water, it's pretty much obscured from your visual sight. Whereas a translucent pond, there's going to be a depth that you can see, but its clarity is increasingly, unclear, and then it's gone. So that's what I find with this. And also too, I find my ability to access these thoughts is not like while I'm going through them, in experiencing them, it's not always it's not always heightened. Let's put it that way. It's not always like looking through a magnifying glass, or looking through I think of not just a telescope, but if you're looking like at bacteria. What are those goodness. Anyways, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but you can see things in clarity. That's a proper lens, and then you can see like what that sample of, whether it be water or goodness, if it's a blood sample, you can see exactly what's found within, and you can see them with detail. And so I find, like, when I'm going through these things, my ability to access these thoughts and to see them with clarity is ever increasing as I keep my sights focused on the Lord, and as His peace sustains me and His peace rules within my heart. That being said, I noted that earlier today, the one thing I didn't talk about was, and that's highly important to all this, and that was actually like one of the main reasons and reasonings why I want to talk about this, is when you're at the bottom, or when you're part of the vulnerable population, and you're looking to, work in the right direction, you could receive refusal after refusal after refusal. This is a wonderful time to, if you're able to humble yourself and to not allow emotions, like it's the emotional state that it's charged within you, can cause this frustration that overflows from your heart, and then causes, like, I'm just giving a visual, like somebody to get so frustrated, and then they take with one clean sweep, they knock all the books and the the duotangs or the binders off their desk. And it's just a show of frustration. We can do that with our own thoughts and with our own competencies when we feel rejected. Or we can simply just look at it and say, this really hurts, but this is where I'm at right now, and this is like, there's going to be things on their side that I just can't understand from this perspective. I'm unable to see them, and I'm unable to experience them, because I'm looking through things through my own personal lens, personalized lens, my own perspective. And it might not be wonderful, and I might think that, in the future, if I was in their position, I'd do this, this, and this. But I've already learned from experience that oftentimes when I get to those positions where I'm able to make the changes that I desire to see, when I was in my former spots, humility comes over me, because I realize, I actually can't make those choices, because now that I'm here at this vantage point, I see that I have different responsibilities, and things appear differently on this side. And also there usually is a process that we can't skip over. And so I realized that my thoughts were just partial before, and I was, projecting and putting my expectations of, if I was there, this is what I would do. Then I was getting angry for people not doing the things that I projected that I would do if I was in the position. Then once I'm in the position, I realize, goodness, I actually see this from a whole new perspective now, and I see that, the way I thought, although it might be admirable, although it might, be beneficial, it was a slanted, narrow-minded perspective, and now I realize that it's no longer, feasible. That being said, on the other side, so on the side of the vulnerable population, you have the ability to work through attrition. Attrition is a word that is seldom used, but it's very, very, it's a very potent and a very poignant and a very good and accurate word, especially for going through things like this. That word is most notable and more commonly used. We're say, like, if you see two people that are fighting, and so if they're in the middle of a fight, and it's a really close back and forth, oh my goodness, one person gets the advantage on the other person counters that, gets the advantage on the other person counters that, they're both starting to succumb to fatigue, their minds are starting to fade a little bit, so their game plan, they might have went from game plan A to game plan B, and now they're on this like third contingency plan, and maybe they're looking for like the proverbial Hail Mary, and then the other person's just looking to survive and weather the storm, but then they're going to look to administer their own attack, etc., and then you see somebody who just will not give up. Whenever they're in a precarious predicament or a vulnerable position, they just keep fighting through it and just keep working and working, but they don't submit to that mental fatigue or the desire to quit. They keep going, and then all of a sudden they get in an advantage position and they end up winning the fight. And then the commentator might, describe that as that was a back and forth fight, and it was a war of attrition, and that person came out on top. It's the same thing with this. When you're, I just sent a message, and I sent some things over to a young woman, just to offer some help, and also it'd be great for my resume as well. But I love to help, and I love learning experientially, and it doesn't really seem like that information was taken that well, which is okay. Then I can learn from this and learn, okay, how am I presenting myself? Perhaps I'm presenting myself in a way that is maybe a little slanted from the way I perceive that I'm presenting myself. So I can ask somebody else for their opinion, and somebody who's reputable and somebody that I really trust, and perhaps I'm not seeing things the way they truly are. Perhaps this just might be a barrier that folks, they maybe I'm thinking this is a wonderful idea. Maybe it is a wonderful idea. It could really help them, but maybe that's not where their heart is. And maybe, for them, they're just comfortable with where they're at, and that's okay. There's all these different things. But one of the worst things is it can get you to doubt yourself and to doubt the validity and the value in the idea that you have. When it's wise just to keep, being honest with yourself, go to the Lord, talk to the Lord about it, talk to others about it, but be honest and see it for the way it is and the way it's not. There could be a lot of value in it. You just haven't had the right opportunity, and you just have to keep pushing forward. But the biggest thing is you don't want to succumb to discouragement. Discouragement is a dream killer. Discouragement is like landmines when people are trying to cross over from enemy territory to a safe land. But there's all these landmines everywhere. Discouragement acts as like stepping on a landmine, and all of a sudden, it puts you in a position where you're no longer able to move forward, or you're now moving forward with great difficulties, or retreating and turning back to the place you're trying to escape actually seems like a really wonderful opportunity and a really wonderful option. And I'll keep sharing, and this is because I can only share what the Lord has done to me, or done for me. But I find I just keep focused on the vision that the Lord's given me, and I keep moving forward. And then when discouragement comes in, I just I keep my focus ahead, and I just learn from these things so I can help others. And I learn, and these things are very, very difficult to get through, but I'll just keep learning and growing. And then where I would have stopped or felt prohibited before, I'll just keep advancing.